would it be a good way to begin by asking the question of what actually matters in a human being's life? If we look at our own personal lives and perhaps globally, what actually matters at the end of the day?
Well, success is based on the individual's perception. If you ask me what success is, it'd be different than maybe if you asked you, right? For me, from my point of view, success is finding who you are beyond form, touching that essence so that we can bring it into this realm. True success, finding out what you really are, who you really are, beyond the gender, the nationalities, the communities, and the cultures.
So could we explore this, who we really are, and why haven't we discovered who we are if we look generally?
Well, from this lens, oneness is playing with itself, the divine is playing with itself, life is playing with itself. So, in order to have that type of an experience, you have to forget yourself. You have to put on a costume. You have to play a role that feels limited for a short time. And then you recognize that that limitation is kind of suffocating. And then that's when we feel a pull to recognize who we are beyond form. Something just feels wrong. Call it suffering, call it whatever you want to call it. Just something feels off, and life is calling itself into a deeper recognition.
And how does one recognize what they truly are?
Well, it's what's looking. It's an alive energy within the body, and it doesn't need to use words. Some call it a presence, some call it an energy, a life force, but it doesn't need words. That's the paradox of this. It's something that's quiet and alive at the same time. It's all knowing, it's confident, but you can't take a picture of it, so to speak. You can't put it into a box and go, here you go, here it is. This is who we really are. It's unique to each individual, and it's something you touchstone within your body, within your character. It's what gives life to the whole character. It's what gives life to life. It's the substratum of everything. I call it God or totality, but it's a life force. It's an energy, and it's common to all of us. And that's why if we touchstone this within the physical body, it doesn't matter our gender, our skin color. We can recognize ourselves through that formless awareness or that energetic field that pulsates through each body. Yeah. So it's invisible.
So could we explore what is generally accepted to be ourselves? And then if we can recognize what our true nature is and what isn't our true nature, could we explore this? So to first begin by finding out what we generally conceive of as ourselves when we call, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, a self-image. We have an imagination of who we think we are, our name tag, our gender, where we came from. It usually always comes from some kind of past story or dialogue. It's never fresh and alive as this. It's always, oh, this is what I've done. It's usually based on achievements. What I'm talking about is not an achievement. It's more of a receiving. So we tend to go, oh, this is who I am, but really it's just a mind. It's a thought form. It's a belief system going, this is who I am. You mean that's just an experience, or that's just a sensation, or that's something you achieved? That's not who you really are. That's why if you take those things away, there can be intense suffering because your identity is wrapped up in those achievements, right? Now, when you recognize who you are beyond form, achievements can come and go, but you're content because you understand that life is actually a living dream that oneness is having of itself. It's all consciousness, it's all energy playing with itself.
Right. So we can say then that anything that is a thought, anything that is a belief, anything that is an identification is not who we truly are, because all of that is just a thought, right?
Right. You could say that, but within a form, this will happen because beyond form, it's formless. There's no senses, there's no emotions, there's no sound. It's absolute null and void. So it's an absolute gift to be a character and have a body. So I do understand what we're talking about as a paradox, and we will seemingly have to move beyond thought and concept and beliefs. But in order to play this game and to be in form, you will come back to beliefs. You will come back to thoughts. You will come back to concepts. It's just now you're conscious, you're fully lucid in using those tools. They're not using you anymore. You're clear.
Is it not the case that we're already aware of our true nature? It's just that it may
Oh,
be more bundled up with thoughts and feelings. So is it not just a case of recognizing that more deeply,
hmm
right? And
yeah,
just
yeah,
because
exactly. No, totally. Where you just used to, well, you could say the body, awareness is awake, what I call awareness, totality or God, consciousness, it's awake, but it seemingly gets connected and identified with thoughts and emotions and sensations. That's why it seems so hard to pull back from thought, because we have been trained, AKA the body's been trained to kneel to thought, kneel to a belief, kneel to some kind of concept, because you need those things, be a beggar and cling. And there's nothing wrong with that. We set that up for ourselves so we can have the experience of a limited, well, experience as a person. But we come again to find out that's very claustrophobic, you see. And so then we notice what's already noticing. We observe the observer, and then there's instant stillness into the subject. We're no longer objectifying God. We're no longer objectifying this force. And now we're becoming alert with it. We're in training with it. And now the body's starting to come into that frequency or vibration naturally, because it's really the body that's rooted in lack. We're clear and healed as awareness. So really, we're talking about the body's journey.
and when you say the body, do you mean the
Mhm.
arms, the legs, the toenails?
Yeah,
What do you mean by the
yeah.
body? Or do you mean
The
the thoughts
and the
associated with
character.
the body too?
Yeah, it's all connected. That's all the body too. That's all the body too. So it's the body's journey, and awareness is it's neutral. It's formless. I like to see it as the white light that hits the raindrop that seems to create the rainbow effect. So we're the white light beyond form. It's like there's nothing. So you and I are the rainbow hues that we're casting. It's just if the body's distorted and holding a lot of unconscious beliefs, there can't be a clear hue. It's highly distorted. The light will not be coherent. So that's why it's the body's journey of dropping these unconscious beliefs rooted in lack and insecurity, so that the limitless, boundless energy we are can move through the body and actualize heaven on earth.
Right. And let's just say somebody hasn't been accustomed to such language, awareness,
Sure.
being, God, light, whatever we
hmm
want to use,
hmm
but they're experiencing something, whatever it is, suffering, we can give it a label, pain, anxiety, guilt. It seems to me that that's what we're truly looking for, to be free from these things in the first place.
Yeah,
So, how does this
absolutely.
understanding help us?
Well, you have to recognize that you're the operant power. Your consciousness is God. And it also produces the illusion of time for you to look for more gods or more fulfillment outside of you. But outside of you isn't real, it's actually shadows of your consciousness. But we've been trained to go outside of ourselves, go outside and kneel, go out there. That's where your hope is. No, you're your hope because you're your savior. It's you who saves you, because there is only one reality, and it is consciousness or energy or God or life force, whatever you want to call it. But you are that. And until we recognize that we are that, we will be suffering. We will be beggars. We will be kneelers to outside sources, which is not authentic to our true hearts, our true nature. But
And let's
again,
just,
we set
Mhm.
this up for ourselves as an experience. So it's neither right nor wrong. It's all a play. It's God's play. It's a dream.
Right. So, you right now, you told me that, I'm awareness, whatever it is. But that is just going to be an idea in my head. But yet the
Oh, yeah.
underlying suffering is still there. So how does that truly help me?
Observe the observer. Can you observe the observer right now and notice how that instantly brings you back into the subject? Brings you right back into what's looking, because what's looking is God. What's looking is totality. Again, though, it seems like it's hard because we've been conditioned to go upstairs into thought. Right now, I'm not using thought at all. Not one thought form has popped up since we've communicated. Everything just comes out of the void as you ask the question. And this is actually the organic reality. It's a feeling reality. We don't need thought to exist. That's the old world. The organic reality is a feeling space, it's intuitive. So you ask a question, it comes out, and I hear it when you hear it. No stress, effortless. And that's why it's always fresh, new, and alive, because there's no pre planning or rehearsal. It's alive, it's fresh. I don't know what's next. But you're right, brother. This will be held as a philosophy or a belief until there's the direct experience. You can only know something spiritually by being it, meaning you can only know God or life or totality or love by being it, not looking for it. So that's why I say you must own this, or you will be owned by an unconscious matrix, period.
And the unconscious matrix being what exactly? Thoughts?
Limiting beliefs, rooted in denial, lack. I can't do this. Somebody else is going to save me. Life's a bummer. I'm depressed. God, the world's so bad. I'm never going to get it right. That's unconsciousness.
So essentially it's just thoughts.
Right. But thoughts can be rooted in pure consciousness. Thoughts can be rooted in lucidity and clarity.
And would it be fair to say that that's only the case when we do recognize ourselves as awareness? Because then
Oh,
thoughts can
absolutely.
flow more naturally.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. That's the paradox of all of this. Yeah.
And let's just say somebody out there is not familiar with any spiritual knowledge, hasn't listened
Mhm.
to teachers, hasn't read
Mhm.
any books. Is all of that truly necessary?
Hmm. It depends on the character. This is so unique. It's not a one size fits all. You know what I mean? It's not a one size fits all. So if a character feels called to take a path of yoga and it's highly inspiring, they're probably going to do that because it's inspiring for them. But it doesn't have to happen. You see, what we're saying is it doesn't have to happen. But if it's inspired, that's spirit, that's life, inspiration in spirit. So why not? We're just saying you don't have to do those lineages just because someone said to. But if your heart is going, oh my God, I want to do asana because it's badass, go for it. That's life. That's passion. I mean, we're just so used to looking around at people walking like they're going to a funeral and we think that's normal. No, it's not. That's unconsciousness, guys. We're meant to be alive. We're meant to be passionate. We're meant to move and express. We've just been entrained into a vibration of woe is me. Life sucks. Same shit, different day, man. Another day, another dollar, whatever. That's unconsciousness. And that's the body displaying the beliefs that our culture has been regurgitating as a story around the campfire. So, as consciousness dawns on itself and we recognize what this is and what we are, then there's a natural responsibility to shift. But it comes out of inspiration and love because all of this is you. Why not make it beautiful? It's art.
Trouble is, and I might be wrong about this, but I'm just simply exploring here.
Mhm.
If we go around the world, we're going to see suffering. We're going to see poverty. We're going to see people who have nothing to eat. And to me, it
Yeah.
seems like the only thing that you're going to be occupied with is how do I have something to eat in the morning? How do I have
Yeah.
somewhere to live? And it's going to be very difficult to even go into these things.
But
So
brother, I got to say right now, though, I mean, I used to live in spaces like that. So we cannot set up a victim story already and say just because you were in poverty or you have a disease that you can't recognize this. I used to have a severe eating disorder. I used to not be able to pay my bills either. So we cannot set up those types of beliefs for us. It's just another trap. Anybody, anywhere, whether you're under an overpass or you're in a mansion, we all have these accessibility to presence because presence is dwelling within all hearts. You see? So this is beyond, again, like what you started off with your intro, it's beyond gender, nationality, race, poverty, or wealth. Like this is within us right now. It's our very breath. So to say that because we're poor, we don't have access to God is bullshit. And I say that with absolute respect because that's the mind that sets this up like a hierarchy. There's no hierarchy in heaven. It's accessible to all, and it's accessible to all now because everyone appearing is heaven, only forgetting.
sorry, I understand that. Of course, circumstances do not. That wasn't my point. My point was to. I feel like the only reason why these things exist in the first place is because we don't cooperate between one another.
We don't what?
We don't cooperate between one another. We don't try to understand one another. We've divided ourselves into, concepts and nationalities and religions. And it seems to me that it's necessary to break free from that.
You can only do that by being conscious, though. Observe the observer. Are you aware of awareness right now? The only way that we can really love another is, do you love yourself? It all starts with you. It all starts with you and your consciousness and the relationship you have with the character looking back in the mirror. Do you love you? Do you respect yourself? Do you honor yourself? Because there really is no other. This is why it all starts with you, because you're a manifestation of the system. If you don't like the system, you have to change, not the system. It's very simple, friends. Here, we start here. We look in the mirror and we start there. So simple, but how many of us do it? Just be present, love yourself, and notice your thoughts, notice your emotions. And then you'll understand why your world is playing out the way it is. It all starts with you, the source. You are the operant power. So if we want more beings donating, start donating. If you want more beings feeding the neighbors, start feeding the neighbors. It's so cliche, but be the change. You know what I mean?
So then the question is, why don't we do this?
Lack of awareness.
And
So
what
speak.
causes us to be
This is a
lacking in
play.
awareness?
We have to go back to understanding this is a dream.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real. It only appears to be real. And you, God, set this up because in order to know what sickness is, you also have to have health. To know what cold is, you have to have heat. So these are opposites that are only appearances. They're all from the one source. So whether we're talking about a saint or a sinner, it's still the one source, brother. You and I are the one source talking to itself. And of course, you and I have played in different arenas too, probably from anger to happiness to, I don't know if you've experienced poverty or illness, but I'm sure you've had some degree of illness and health. So in order to have an experience within form, there has to be the appearance of opposites. It's called contrast. Just like two sticks that rub together to make a campfire, there has to be a friction, brother. But we can only understand this in intuition. The mind will never understand this. Logic cannot grasp this because we're not talking to logic. We're talking to intuition. We're talking to something that is prior to the arising of form, or what you call thought. And it doesn't need to use thought. It doesn't need to use words. It's a feeling. It's a sense of contentment and just a sureness of all is well. And you can't get there through thought. Because it's already quietly looking. It's already quietly holding space for all of this to dance and prance. It's the silent seer. It's always here. And it's the one that eats all the insecure questions. That's why stillness and silence is so powerful. Being with ourselves in silence and stillness is so powerful because the greater consciousness will eat the insecure consciousness. But again, if you think heaven's outside of you, you're going to be a beggar. But your body's the living temple. It's the living satsang. How often do we look there?
And what is it that we're all deeply looking for?
Ourselves.
And what prevents us from finding ourselves?
The unconscious beliefs rooted in the body that creates anxiety and insecurity and makes you want to go outside of yourself to find yourself.
And why does one engage in that? Or why does that even happen?
One, to set it up. This is, again, a dream. You're dreaming.
And how do you know that you're dreaming?
It's not a logical knowing. It's an intuitive knowing, because I am. You're also the I am. You're God too. It's just it's a humbleness. It's not some kind of arrogance. It's just when the self-consciousness goes, this is known. It's shown to you. But if you think you're just a mere human and a mortal floating on a marble, out in the vastness of space, I mean, that's the reality you're going to get. You will get just a very limited human existence, but you're God appearing as a human just to recognize that you're God. It's all a play that you've set up for yourself, but you are dreaming, and your dream is personal to the character. But that's why when that dream pops, we recognize that we're all the one source talking to ourselves. This is all a reflection. It's all one big mirror.
And so is a dog, right? And a toothpick,
Oh yeah, everything.
and an atom,
Literally.
and a camera.
Everything.
Everything.
Everything. Yeah. Everything. Not two. There is no other.
And let's just say there's somebody out there who has who's recognized their true nature, but I don't know if they would call it necessarily true nature. They may experience happiness, peace, clarity in thought, because these are all the qualities of our true nature, it seems.
Is that a question?
Would it be
sorry?
Sorry?
Was that a question, or were you just kind of?
No, I'm just simply
Okay,
exploring.
okay.
I'm simply exploring.
Okay.
Would it be obvious then that that is God, that awareness is God, or that awareness is the one source, or that awareness is everything? To me, it doesn't seem obvious if one hasn't been exposed to various traditions and teachings and books and so on. We can only truly know that if we had some recognition by reading other material.
Oh, that's
by
another
listening
lie, though. That's another belief, because my first recognition, I was a Catholic. I had no history of non-duality when I first recognized that I was awareness. I was 7. So your mind is just setting up a whole nother trap, brother. Love is simple. Presence is so simple. It's this. We don't have to set that up, because guess what? We're talking about timeless awareness. Timeless. So nothing in time is going to lead you to it. Just like I just shared the example. I was 7 when I first recognized this. No books. So how do we explain that, brother?
Sorry, what exactly did you recognize?
That I was formless awareness. I was just there as a silent seer, and there was no thoughts.
Right. And if there's no thoughts,
quiet and still, and there was just an alive presence. That's it. It was very organic and natural.
Right. But yeah, let's go to that point then. And you were 7 and there was no thoughts. Mm-hmm. It was silence, just pure bliss,
I had
whatever
an
words you want to use.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't call it bliss, but I just had an inspiration when I was going to sleep one night. I was laying in bed to repeat my name like a mantra. I never even heard of a mantra before. I just naturally started saying Anna, 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 until Anna's name broke down. Didn't even know what that meant anymore. And then there was just the light of awareness. There was just a seer. It just felt extremely natural and like home. But guess what came back? Neurosis, my conditioning I learned from my mom and dad and my cultures. And so then I thought I lost it, which set me up on a path of kind of opening and closing. But it was always there throughout the whole appearance of a dream path. Presence was always there. Awareness was always there. But what came up was neurotic conditioning, not feeling safe, not feeling secure, which was the body. Like I said, this is the body's journey. I was already awake. And so that led me to a path where it was like unraveling the beliefs, the neurosis, the unworthiness, the belief that time is real and linear. You know, all of that started to fall away. But I had no prior experience or schooling or anything when that arose.
Which is exactly my point. How do I put this? The very fact that you stated that there were no thoughts. And then when we say that you are awareness, you are God, you are the one being, that itself is a thought. But that thought
we're using words. We have to use words to talk. I mean, we can sit in silence and transmit energy if you want.
Of course. But my point is that the very fact that we're using those thoughts, they're rooted in some form of memory, in some form of knowledge, because we heard the word God from somewhere. We just didn't magically come up with it, or we heard the word consciousness from somewhere, or we heard the word one being from somewhere. So the fact that we're using thoughts those thoughts are rooted in some form of knowledge. But do you see my point? Or
Yeah, well, we have to use words to talk, brother. But I'm not recalling it. As you ask the questions, then a memory pops up. But like I said, I don't have any thoughts until you ask a question, and then there's a memory that pops up for me to share. That's how this works. Like it's all null and void. Memory goes. But if you're in an interview or someone asks you a question, then the memory bank will pop up. Like, hey, where'd you go to school? Then it pops up. But otherwise, it's not there, like at all. That's what's interesting about this. Whatever you need pops up when you need it. We're talking about a beautiful, infinite source here. It's not going to make sense to your finite mind. Please understand this. How can the finite mind understand infinity? It can't. But right now, infinity is using the finite mind to express itself. So please don't get this twisted. I can understand that it's very weird to be looking at a human body that's a female, especially in yourself too as a male, and go, oh no, this can't be the source. No word can encapsulate the wordless, but my love, we're talking, we're going to have to use words to speak. But do know that there's an energy within these words. All right? Because someone can be here saying the exact same words with the dead energy. There's an energy and a life force in every word that I'm speaking to you. And that's how you know. It's something you feel and you sense. You don't have to sit and break it down with your mind. It's just you feel it. It hits home, because we're talking about energy. If you want to use that word, that's fine, because what we really are doesn't get caught up on the words. This is play. It's all like paints. What we really are is the white blank canvas. It doesn't give a shit. We're just expressing the inexpressible, and we're doing the best we can, man. So we can relax about that.
of course,
We're already home. This is it. Yeah. It's okay.
Can I ask you a personal question, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Have you read any spiritual texts, material?
Oh, sure.
Have you listened to
throughout
teachers?
my whole.
Have you listened to Non Duality?
I've listened to
Like
all kinds of
material?
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course. Yeah.
And
All different kinds of flavors.
Which ones have you found to be the most interesting for you? Or which ones have resonated with you the most?
The most potent teacher that has ever crossed my path is nature.
Mm-hmm. But in terms of
it's perfectly itself. Yeah.
Right. But in terms of actual human teachers and words and language and so on, which ones have spoken to you the most?
Eckhart Tolle's nice. Dr. Joe Dispenza's cool. There's so many. Muji has beautiful pointings, but they're all different facets, of the one diamond. So they don't all have like the whole 360. So it's like a little here, a little here, a little here. But for me, I find nature to be the most potent because it's silent and it's still, and there's not a lot of words. And you can just go right into that feeling space of intuition. This is home. This is already it. You're perfect. This is perfect. And we are going to seem to evolve just like the trees and the plants, But yeah, there's many pointings out there.
No, the reason why I said this, even in the case of Eckhart Tolle, the age of 29, when he, experiences true nature, he was just sitting on the park benches for a couple of years, but he didn't really know what that was. He had to go to the Buddhist. He had to go to read various books in order to understand what it truly was. He had no conceptual understanding that, this is the one awareness.
Right.
This is pure being. That's why I feel happy. So my point was that it's not immediately clear what all of this really is, unless you have a conceptual understanding from other people, from other sources, from religion. For example, Jesus was already established in Judaism. Buddha was already established in Hinduism. And they perhaps borrowed these concepts from there. So my whole point was that, for example, a child to me is living in their true nature, but they wouldn't really go out there and say, oh, I'm God, you're the one being. That was my point, that a child doesn't have any conceptual knowledge, and they can't even, I'm sure if we observe children, they're quite happy, they're quite free, and it's a lot of qualities that adults wish to emulate in their lives. The spontaneity, the joy of seeing things for the first time. I feel like that's beautiful to see. But a child wouldn't necessarily have a notion of what God is or what all of this really is. They're just living, right? So I guess that was my
Well, from
point.
the
I
age,
hope you can see
well,
it.
from the age to age 7, they're just an imagination. And not all kids are raised in healthy spaces. Some are in abusive.
Of course, of course.
Okay. But from the age of 7, we're downloading the program so that we as God can have an experience or oneness. If you don't like the word God, we can just use energy. But we all set this up. So we're downloading the program until the age of 7. And there's no choice in that. We're just downloading it. All right. And then we seem to be lost in that. But you could say if there was any purpose, it's recognizing and waking up inside of the body, because it's the body that's bogged down. Yeah, you're right. When we come into here, it's just awareness in the baby's body. Woo! Then the body starts to take in the vibrations of the unconscious mother, the unconscious father, the communities, the cultures, and it's just downloading that unconscious energy into the body for an experience. And then awareness seems to get clouded. Who am I? Oh, I am my name tag. I was born here on this date. This is who I am. This is my nationality. And then it seems to get lost. And then there's a remembering again to bring forth that wisdom through the body and move through those ancient unconscious conditionings that we call ancestral lineages of, oh my God, well, my mom was depressed and her mom was depressed. And you know what I mean? And we just keep carrying that on. And so, yes, you can say we're all born into this. But again, this is the body's journey. Awareness is fully awake. That's why it can seem like we're evolving or dropping and becoming more luminous. It's already there. We're just kind of pulling off the armor and the layers to reveal what was there. The clouds are moving out of the way for the sun to shine through, so to speak. But each character obviously has been wired differently, been conditioned differently. That's why there's no one size fits all for this. But underneath all of the conditioning is the one source that is common to all. But each character is going to go down their own unique path, be drawn to certain things and flavors based on those conditionings and cultures. That's why this is a highly unique experience, so to speak. That's why you can't look over here or look over there. It's really, you got to trust your heart. You really got to trust your heart in the passions and the inspirations that are pulling you. But everything is guiding you back to you. Everything is, no matter how ugly or beautiful.
So then the question arises, or to me at least it seems, that what's actually necessary is first to understand what thinking is in the first place, and to understand that there is a space in which there can be no thoughts, where you can just observe a tree without the labeling, without the mental thoughts around it, right? It seems to be that that's what it all comes down to, just understanding that space in which you can observe something without thoughts. Is this ultimately what it boils down to?
Well, it's not an achievement. We're not trying to get rid of
No,
thoughts.
sorry, of course,
you know what I
of
mean?
course.
Yeah. But we're just recognizing that you're the source, like you're it. And that's when seeking stops. Because why would you go outside of yourself anymore when you recognize you're the giver of all life? You're also the taker. But we can only see that through being our own guinea pigs, through the direct experience, applying, actualizing this instead of just reading about it all the time. We have to get up and be it and see what happens, because all of this is energy that's coagulating around you and your intention and stance and consciousness, period. If you're depressed, you'll see a world of depression. You get healed through depression and you're a little bit happier or content, you're going to shift and see a different world, because everything is consciousness mirroring you. But beyond consciousness, nothing. It's void, it's null. We can't say what it is, you see? But within the realm of form, this is what seems to be arising, seems to be playing.
Let's just say I recognize this. And yet I still exist. I'm still in society. I have to do something. What do I do?
Why are you asking me? You're God. You're the source. What do you want to do? What do you want to play in? What do you want to create? That would be giving your power away to somebody else. You got to ask your heart what it wants. This is why stillness and silence is so powerful, being with yourself and really going, you know what do I really want? Not what does my mom want, not what does society want, what do I really want? Maybe
So
that's just a
I'm not
garden.
speaking personally
No,
here. I'm just speaking in
I know.
general.
I'm using I know.
Oh,
I
right.
know you're not. I'm
Okay.
using a generalization as well. We're both using generalizations,
Mhm.
but that's what it comes down to. I mean, you're the power, so we don't go outside of ourselves anymore. If you do, you realize you get smacked, and it's like, ow, because the kingdom's within you, the queendom is within you, and life will show you you're the power. You're the power to destroy, you're the power to create, you're the power to feel like a victim, you're the power to bust out of that. Like, you are so powerful, you can play small. We are the operant power. If we say I'm no good, so be it. We say I got this, all right. You know what I mean? It's all coagulating around you and your stance and your position. You're limitless. We're all infinite consciousness. So we can play in depression, but we can also play in abundance. And in fact, you could say depression is a form of abundance. You can be really, really depressed, have an abundance of depression, right? So it's just, what are we focused on? What have we trained our body to focus on? Because awareness, again, is moving through it like a prism. That's why the body is so important. It's a temple. But if it's been told you're ugly, you're fat, you're never going to make it in your life, then awareness kind of bumps up against that. The energy hits it. All right. And that's why we work with the body, so to speak. We stay present within the body so we can see those clogs and distortions so that we can have that life force move through more freely. And that's how we weave and seemingly receive our heaven on earth, because we're really not here to achieve. We're here to receive the achievement we already are as infinite, boundless consciousness. That's a flip of the script. We're receiving and generating the energy that's already created. Creation's done. And that's a huge flip, because now we're in abundance. We're not in lack.
I guess the intention behind asking that question was there's the whole problem of livelihood. For example, you may say, I want to go travel the world now, but you still have to earn money. Or you may say, I want to go, I don't know, speak about these things. You still have to earn money. You have to survive somehow. So, and the only way you can do that is by providing value to other people, it seems.
Okay. Yeah. But you can create that. You can receive money based on your stance and consciousness. So if you were raised in poverty and your body believes I am poverty, well, you got to train your body into I am prosperity. I am is another name for God. And whatever you put after that, you're confirming and calling forth to receive within your hologram. So start affirming I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am important. Start affirming I am God, I am totality. This is not something that's arrogant or to be embarrassed about, you know? This is, I mean, we are this. Everyone is this. And it's a great joy to talk about this, that you can heal your consciousness. You can shift your life, but you must know that you are the operant power. So start affirming right now I am healed, I am healthy, but you must feel it. Because if you don't feel that gratitude, if you don't feel that love or that abundance in the body, it's never going to go past your brain stem. The affirmation will never go past your brain stem into the nervous system. That's why I'm talking about feeling. The organic reality is about feeling. And that's why this is the body's journey, because you as awareness is abundant. We're getting the body's vibration up so that you can actualize your magnificent wisdom within the realm of form.
And what makes somebody do what they do?
What's in the subconscious programming? Again, from the age to 7, you're in imagination and you're downloading the program. So if you were raised into poverty and abuse, your body just knows poverty and abuse. So you're operating out of an unconscious program and you're attracted to abusers. You're also attracted to things that are rooted in poverty. Now, when you recognize that your awareness is the operant power, that your consciousness is God, now you can start rewriting your subconscious program through the lucidity of awareness and the authority of self. Everything's rooted in the subconscious, and the subconscious doesn't care what you are. It doesn't care if you're male, female, rich or poor. It feels you. It feels you. So if you feel depressed or you're hating on yourself every day, you're telling your subconscious, more of this, please. This is the reality I want, please. But then when we become conscious with ourselves, we realize, no, that's not serving. I want beauty for humanity. I want love and abundance for humanity. And if I want that for humanity, I have to give it to myself first. And we heal ourselves first. And it's not really like a healing, because we're all dimension, spaces, and time. So what we're really doing is we're just shifting over into a different space and place that's already created, you could say. There's already a version of you that's healed, or there's already a version of you that's abundant. There's already a version of you that, doesn't have a sprained ankle. But are we using our imagination for victim consciousness? Are we using our imagination and thought in our feeling centers for love, expansion, harmony, and healing? And that's when we observe the observer, we can really start to see when we were really playing in the imagination, arguing with our boss, hating on our neighbor, worrying about bills, instead of using it to envision all of the abundance and prosperity that I need, feeding my neighbors, feeding myself, visualizing my sister fully healed. You get what I'm saying? These are our God-given gifts and talents. It's just we've been trained to use them for lack, separation, competition, and war. Why not harmony? Why not beauty? Why not abundance? Why not wealth for all? Why not community gardens for all? Why not free healthcare for all? Why not use our imaginations for that? Yes, it's all a dream, but why not make the dream beautiful while we're here?
Absolutely. And I guess that's my point then. Let's just say you are happy, wise, intelligent, peaceful, joyful, moment to moment. And yet you go around the world and you see war, you see destruction of plants and animals, you see suffering. And is there not like an impulse to do something, to act?
It depends on the character. Obviously, if you're
Depends on
right
the
there, if
character.
I was right there seeing something, there would be a call to action. But there would also be a calmness and a contentment knowing that this is playing out, because let's say it's the will of the one. Otherwise, it wouldn't be appearing. All of this has to appear. It is, because it's all you. You're the ones that are suffering too, because they're all versions of you. You see? But if we really think this is real and concrete, we're going to be extremely in intense suffering. We're talking about a paradox here where it's both. It's real and it's unreal. And that just will never set well with a brain that's cut into two hemispheres. It's logical. So yes, I mean, if I see someone suffering on the road or needs help, this would automatically go into action. But to say that someone else needs to do that in order to be fully divine or something, that's not accurate. It's just what this
sorry, I'm not
character
saying
would
that
do.
at all. No, of
Yeah.
course not.
Oh, honey, I'm not saying that you are either. I'm not blaming you. I'm just generalizing for everyone who's going to be listening in. That's all. But there is no world. We must recognize that our world starts with our consciousness. Everything is your consciousness objectified. That's again why we change the system within. It all starts with you and your consciousness. Are you clear? Are you loving? Are you loving yourself and your body? Are you helping your neighbor? We start with ourselves.
So are we saying here then that fundamentally we have to understand what all of this really is? We have to understand our true nature. That's what real success is, right?
No, it's not a mental understanding though. It's intuitive.
Sorry. Intuitive.
It's okay. It's all words.
That's what I mean by that. That's what I mean.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not going to say that that's full success. I mean, some characters are really called to recognize who they are beyond form. And that's their passion. Like they're driven for that. But to say that everyone should be doing that is also another trap. Some beings, maybe they're here to explore sex. Maybe they're here to explore just full on dance, or what it's like to lose themselves in an overload of job work. You know what I mean? To have that kind of experience. I'm not going to box anybody. Everything that's appearing is oneness having that experience, you see. But it's obvious that we find suffering in the limitation of just being a person, thinking that we're going to die with the body. That's all. But success is based on the individual. Maybe success is a booming job. Maybe success is being a great mother. Maybe success is your garden producing amazing food so you can support your community. I don't know. That's something we have to ask ourselves. And that's really too why we have to sit and ask ourselves, what do I want? What do I need? Because maybe success for you is loving your own heart. Maybe success for you is sitting down and giving yourself 5 minutes to love and be with yourself. Maybe that's success in the new world. Maybe success is just slowing down, doing more art or dance or getting out in nature. Maybe that's success. Really, that's such an open question, you know? But we can really only find out what's successful for us, you're right, through the lens of conscious awareness, through being present with ourselves. That's when we can really be honest and authentic.
The only reason why I mentioned that word is because we talked about that at the beginning of this dialogue, where I asked what actually matters, and you meant success in recognizing your true nature, something along those lines. So that was the intention behind asking that question.
And for this, that's what I would say is for me,
Mm-hmm.
because it settles everything else down. But what the cool thing is about this, it's a paradox, is when you recognize what you are beyond form, is that actually the success within form skyrockets, because now you have access to the whole source. You know, you can generate prosperity if you need it. You can generate a healing if you need it, because you know where to go, and it's inside of you into the unmanifested realms of awareness and consciousness. You see, so it's a paradox, you know, because finding out who you are beyond form can shift the whole reality, you know, because now we don't feel so limited because we've touched on the limitless through our awareness and our presence. So that's why it can change everything, but it doesn't have to. Depends on the character again.
And what I find interesting about all of this is that you say it depends on your character, but it seems that it's for everybody to discover this true nature, because that's what you're truly looking for: happiness, peace, joy. But even if we were to discover all of this, it seems to me that we're still going to do something, whether it's playing basketball, whether it's dancing,
Sure.
whether it's singing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
to me, it seems like that knowledge, that understanding, not conceptual understanding, but like for me, understanding, what understanding means is, if I understood something, there's going to be no more thoughts about it. It's obvious, it's clear. That's what I mean by understanding. So not just conceptual understanding, but it seems to me that it's necessary to find out, what is this character designed to do? What is a particular function? For example, an orange tree, no matter how hard it tries, it's never going to produce apple trees. Michael Jordan, it would be a shame if Michael Jordan became an accountant. Like, that guy's just born to play basketball. So it seems to me that it's necessary to discover that, you know, what are we really here to do? What's our unique function? And this understanding helps with that, it seems.
Well, yeah.
Right?
I mean, because if you can actually go within, you can find out your potentialities. But if you can't even close your eyes to go within or sit in silence for 5 seconds, then how are you going to ever know what your potentials are? You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're going to be running out of a subconscious program your mom and dad gave you. Oh, I'm meant to be a lawyer. I'm going to go be a lawyer. I hate my life. This sucks. Even though I want to dance instead. Jazz hands, right? And so that's the whole thing, is we got to recognize we're the operant power. So yeah, we may have been conditioned into some really bullshit stuff like abuse or poverty or whatever it is. And that wasn't our fault. But now that we're conscious, that our consciousness is the operant power, it is our responsibility to shift that. And you have to look underneath those distortions of, oh, I'm meant to be a lawyer because my mom and dad was, to really see what the heart is on fire about, which could be dance or piano or baking brownies. I don't know. But that's why we have to really be able to sit and get through the atmosphere of the personal consciousness and leave that into the spacious realm of formless awareness, so we can really hear the heart's call of what our gifts are, what our talents are, because we all got them, you know. Yeah. So yeah, totally. We all have a potential and a gift and a talent, for sure. We just have to be conscious. I mean, it all comes back to, are we conscious? You know, are we lucid?
When I give the example of an orange tree cannot produce apples, to me it's quite clear. Like it's obvious, it's logical, it's reasonable. It's not bold to say such a thing, or to say that a chicken is not going to become an eagle,
Right.
and so on. Like, to me, that's quite reasonable whenever I make that statement, whenever I question that. It's obvious. And now if I look at, for example, if I look at what divides people, and of course it's concept, it's knowledge, it's thoughts, but even if I go deeper than that, what divides people? It seems to be religion. Religions divide people. I'm a Christian, you are a Buddhist, you're a Hindu, and so on, and therefore we don't agree with each other. You have your God, I have my God, we have this God, and so on. And then same with nationality. I'm born to X country, you are born to Y country, and so on. And that divides us. And to me, it seems like if we're actually speaking about changing things, if we're speaking about helping to break free from this conditioning, it seems to me that it's necessary to go into very, very deeply and to understand why we do that in the first place. For example, although you mentioned that you are God, or you are awareness, or you are the one source experience in itself. Like, if I listen to this, it's not as obvious to me as listening to an orange tree cannot produce apples, or an eagle is not going to be a chicken, and so on. So what I was really hoping to do here was to break it down so it's as obvious as stating something as 2 + 2 = 4, and so on, to make it so clear. Because to me, it seems like if I'm an external listener and I'm hearing you, that might just be another belief. That might be just, that's non-duality. It doesn't, that's just another belief. Seems like if we cling to that particular belief, that divides us. But to me, it seems like the only way we can truly.
But we're all God. How can that divide us if everyone is God appearing?
But
how can that be a division?
That's just conceptual. I haven't understood that if I just hear that. So to me, it seems like it's necessary to understand.
But you're coming from your experience. From here, it's not conceptual at all. It's actually embodied, and I'm living it. So you're telling me your experience, but that's not what's happening here, my love. You're projecting onto here that that's what's arising, but it's not. I mean, I see you as me, and I serve you as me because you are me, and what I do to you, I do to me.
Perhaps it comes down to this. What do we ultimately know for certain?
I am. I exist. Beingness. And that's what it comes down to. And that's when all the questions that you have dissolve, when you're actually being in presence. That's all I can say, is when you're actually being present, all of the questions slow down or stop. Because the questions are coming from a belief of separation. What I'm talking about is beyond belief, but it can use belief, is what I'm saying, as a tool. But you're right, beingness or awareness is beyond belief. It's what observes beliefs. It's what observes thoughts and feelings. It's prior to that, so to speak. That's why it's silent. It's silently watching. That's why I instantly go, observe the observer. Notice what's noticing already. Feel the aliveness in your body. Is that a thought?
No, of course it isn't.
Is your breath a thought?
Mm-mm.
Exactly. And we can all reach that right now, so to speak. We can all rest into that right now, which, how can that be a division or a thought? So if we can just rest in beingness, all thoughts will start to subside. But what we want to do as a habit is talk more about it, debate it, instead of just being it. But can we be patient? Can we be present instead of going into the next thought, the next question? You know what I mean? Really feel that aliveness in the body. Really observe the observer and notice that what's looking is what you're looking for. And that looker is what's common to all. It's just peeping out of different apparatuses, seemingly. You're a male. I'm a female, but beyond form, my love, we are neither male or female. I am you, and you are me. And that's not a thought.
Anna, why do you do what you do?
Why do birds sing at dawn? I don't know. It's just what feels good. And it's very effortless and natural for me. I don't know. I didn't plan this, that's for sure. To be honest, I try to, when there's still a bit of a saboteur here, I try to sabotage it, try to run away from it. I try to just box myself into just to be a mom, try to do really linear things, try to be normal. I really try to do that, which caused more suffering for me.
You
Like
just
you were
kind of
saying, the
help it.
orange trees. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just like the apple tree has to produce apples, this has to speak about this. Otherwise, if I don't, I ferment. I ferment. I recoil. I've experimented enough with myself to know, that's why we got to trust ourselves and follow our hearts. Because it is life saying this is what's right for you to go dance, go paint your face, yeah, go be an architect or go empower young children. It's like you can tell by how alive you feel in your body what's right for you. That's why comparison drops too, because maybe you feel so alive by making homemade sourdough bread and homemade butter. Like, oh my God, amazing, delicious. But that's what enlivens you. And this is something that's like, ew, bogged down. So that's why we really got to feel like the pulse, that inspiration. Feelings are telling us, emotions are telling us, you know? Yeah.
You're just trying to make it very simple for people, so it's obvious to them. You're not trying to confuse them. You're trying to make it as simple as possible for people to recognize their true nature, right?
Well, they're not people, they're me. I'm talking to me right now too.
Right. You're
So
talking to
everything I
other
share and
me's,
I
right?
talk
Yeah.
to,
Hmm.
yeah, they're all versions of myself. So I'm serving myself right now. As I
Right.
serve
Right.
myself and I keep it simple and I go straight to the point that your consciousness is the operant power, that's absolute compassion and service and empowerment. I'm giving you the power back.
Hmm. Hmm.
No more videos, no more books. Go look at yourself in the mirror, be present. Start observing the contents of your consciousness. Let's keep it very simple. That's all. That's all.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, Anna, thank you so much for your time. I do
Yeah.
appreciate it. And yeah, any final comments, any thoughts, anything at all?
Oh, no, just thanks, guys. Just remember, you're the operant power. Keep coming back to yourself. Keep coming back to your breath. You're it, my love. That's it.
Wonderful. Well, look, thank you so
All
much,
right.
Anna.
Yeah. Take care now. All right. Many blessings.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.